Hey, good morning. Good morning, Portlanders. Good morning, YouTubers, teachers, friends, Romans, countrymen. That's Shakespeare. I don't know Shakespeare the way Johnny Stallings does. He's a local shaman, you could say. He knows his Shakespeare and his Walt Whitman. And I was introduced to Johnny Stallings by Nick Consoletti, who was another one of those wayfaring wanderer, flaneur, comprehensivist polymath kind of guys, such as come to my Facebook and videos wondering what I'm up to because they're polymaths too. Like, we study lots of topics, is what I'm saying, and interconnect them. And in this one, I just want to briefly, really almost chronologically, look at some events in the school recently. The school is a nebulous concept. So, for example, we just had the Democratic National um, Convergence in Chicago, 2024, and here I'm saying, hey, first of all, I've met Ralph personally. I still give some money to Osberg, just kind of out of because I like Ralph Nader, and I'm trucking out my pirate party. I tell people, which is not, everyone says, oh, you're spoiler, third party, blah, blah, you're taking away votes from legitimate candidates or whatever that is, but not so in the case of the pirate party, my pirate party, by the way. I'm not talking about anybody else's. My pirate party only has planks, no candidates. So you can't vote for my candidates. I don't have any candidates, but I do have positions. Sometimes I see those positions reflected in the rhetoric of various candidates. Now, here I've got some of my planks here. A lot of them have to do with messing around with public school options, more boarding school, more same sex. Not to say we can't have the conventional public schools, but as you know, I've got a whole different curriculum going, and I want it to be run USG public in some form. So I've got to find a way to make my stuff accessible to you, the public, the voting public, right? Tax paying, etc. Like the way they withhold my curriculum from you, I have to help you out. I have to help you over that. So here you go, Pirate Party. Now, I came up with this. As you see, it's a bit dated. It mentions, I liked the way Tulsi was tongue lashing Trump more than I liked impeaching him for that phone call to Ukraine because, oh, it's a long story. But I have my own views, right, regarding all that stuff. Now, what else happens? There's the Pirate Party coming out, as usual this time of year. Nothing new there. Funny bus picture. So I like to run Facebook in dark mode, as I've said. I'm going to go to this one quickly because it links to my mom, and I want to talk about Hiroshima Nagasaki Day here in Portland, which is very important. It's our commitment to not using nukes. I would say Cascadia would almost disavow being in the Union at all if the so called Union in our name tries to use nukes anywhere, right? You're not the United States if you do that. It's kind of how I felt about Nord Stream 2. The United States wouldn't be that big of a jerk, right? By definition. So if some wayward, quote unquote, insiders thought they could get cover for that from the United States, I don't think so. Same with 9/11, right? That wasn't an inside job. No, can't be. I say so, right? That's just the way I am with the U.S. I'm kind of possessive, right? I'll tell you what like, you can't go over that line and still call yourself the United States. That's kind of the way I take it. Pirate Party, remember, but no candidates. I'm not running for president myself. Look at all this fun Twilight Zone picture taking. So I went downtown to look for Coraline Cats, which are based on the movie Coraline, which was There's history with Portland in that. But what I want to get to at the bottom, I did find a bunch of cats, is where my mom's name, there it is, next to Mary Bolton. This whole section is women who had to do with Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. Mary Rose, Ruth Frankel, it goes on, right? There's a lot of them, not that many. And Mom is down there. So I bring her up because she, in the 60s, helped organize this Hiroshima and Nagasaki ceremony. And we went there this year as usual, and she was actually mentioned in the program, and they honored her and pointed her son out, me. Good thing I was there, right? But I told him I'd be there. I was obviously not going to miss it. I don't miss this if I'm in town, right? And it was very smooth this year. It really went well. So this is again our commitment to, I would say no nukes is more important than any nation state, right? If it's between national security and no nukes, it's no nukes every day, right? That's my platform. I don't know what your platform is. You have your party, you have your representatives, right? The whole point is you don't have to be like me. In fact, I would expect you're not like me. By the way, I've been working with people in the background on Kiyoshi Kuromiya's history and career, and I just wanted to run through some of my heroes, Baird Rustin, Muhammad Ali, there's Kiyoshi, and of course Buckminster Fuller, with whom Kiyoshi worked. Okay, so the last thing I want to touch on in today's talk video is I liked this one. It says in chess, white and black pieces are bitter enemies, but those who move the pieces are usually good friends. Maybe it could be total strangers too, though. Chess is like that. You don't ever quite know what chess is going to lead to. Very militaristic SUV. It's probably appeal to the soccer moms. Been watching The Shining. You'd think me, 66, would have seen The Shining by now. But really, when do we have time to really study film? I wasn't a film major. I had friends who were, and I was kind of jealous. But I love film, and I do watch documentaries just about film as a topic. That 15-hour one, wasn't it? I went to see film in Odyssey. It's got the word Odyssey in it. Okay, where are we? Ben Lowder's talk is where I'm headed. Ben Lowder is in Middle America. He works in kind of like the Tupperware coffin there. That's AI. Gee, I didn't know it was this far back. I really post a lot to Facebook these days. Don't always, by the way. And yes, I do have some political posts here and there, but they're probably not the politics you're expecting. Same with Pirate Party, right? Here we go. Benjamin Lowder. So he's connected to this, a couple things. The new museum that's been made out of Fuller's original house in Carbondale, but also a dome near St. Louis, a spiritual enlightenment Fuller Dome, a center for spirituality. And he gave a talk on TrimTab recently. And this is just spin-off comments post that presentation, which I hope becomes a YouTube eventually. That's what I'd like. I thank Benjamin, and then I get into some of the history of the TrimTab group, which was going along well before I joined, right? And so I was invited on, and we've had great guests, such as Ben Lowder, also Bonnie, David Koski, of course Douglas, D.W. Jacobs, Daniel Lopez Perez, Hugh Kenner's kids, all of them. But we don't always record them, which is kind of sad because these are worth seeing. If we want to be generous to posterity, we should make lots of recordings and share them and not sit on them. That's my view, which is why I'm very prolific, partly just because I want to enrich the public space. Um, if that makes any sense. I always like airports because they're built for the public, subway stations, stuff like that. I understand why people lavish a lot of work on subway stations. Okay, folks, I'm gonna wind it up there. Oh, one more thing. What about Ben Lowder's talk? I want to see, how do we say this simply without too many links? He was, he fights the stereotype a lot of us are up against around Bucky, that the guy was just a technocrat, engineer minded, didn't give any thought to, let's call it this sort of, I don't know, the psychological. He wasn't a psychological guy. He was just like, you know, not a humanities guy. He was a engineer type. And of course, that's not the case if you know at all the literature. But a lot of people don't know the literature, and it's hard for them to find out the literature. So I think this essay that I like to link to and is connected to what Ben was saying is Fuller was really committed to the idea and wanted to get it out there that the invisible is more important than the visible, by which, well, just let that mean whatever it means to you, but it's like that which is in your face or acceptable to your, or that's what you kind of get in the mundane world of the five senses, as we call them. It's not that all there is to life. In fact, there's more important stuff going on. And you really, how do you tune that in? And that's the whole point of synergetics. It's about fine tuning your language to be able to think coherently and receive signals, really, to tune in the zeitgeist, let's put it that way. We all need a little radio to tune in the zeitgeist, and a lot of it get it through pop culture, and that works pretty well. But we also need longer term so-called philosophies. Others say ideologies, ontologies. There's all this ology stuff. But here is Fuller in being quoted as saying Freud is the real groundbreaker in all of this, because even before Einstein, he was making something invisible, i.e., the unconscious mind, be super important. It's like you can't even begin to understand history or humanity or anything if you have no sense of this thing that's repressed, which by definition means it's not in your face. Like the unconscious, when you talk about it, it becomes like this huge unknown. Right? That's the feeling you should have towards it at first. Not that, the unconscious, yeah, I think about it all the time. No, it's unconscious, right? You got to remember that word has significance. And here Fuller is saying that opens the door for like Einstein and quantum mechanics to come later and have super duper small stuff, like way smaller than leprechauns. Like we're talking smaller than microscopic. Like germs and bacteria, that whole thing, that was a breakthrough in explaining diseases and all these kind of like pathologies in that dimension. But to go even smaller than that by a long shot to get to the quarks and all that. Now Einstein, he opens the door into the invisible. I'm not giving him all the credit for quantum mechanics, which he had his problems with, but I'm just saying, here in this story, which I'm scrolling through slowly so you can maybe get the gist, I'll put a link in the description. Here in this story, we're learning that Bucky Fuller credits Freud even more than Einstein as prior to Einstein in terms of emphasizing the invisible. And if you go to Synergetics Dictionary, you won't even find an entry under Sigmund Freud, but look under responsibility. Fuller thought deeply about the will, like how can we punish people the way we do if we really believe in the psychology that we have? But, that's all attention. But I'm just saying he thought about psychology. Applewhite once told me he was in it for the psychology. Not the physics, really, not the engineering, but a lot of people are in it for the engineering, obviously. And that's partly why Fuller, because he's the geodesic dome guy, has this reputation of just being like a technocrat. He doesn't have a spiritual side, they'll tell you. But they're, of course, uninformed, right? So Ben Lowder and other people like that are out there giving talks to help us remember that there's more to history than you might know. All right, hey, that's enough for today. Let's talk again soon.